Okay.
I'm texting him right now.
Are you texting him? Okay. Yeah, whatever. Another minute.
I needed to do something, and then they ended up upgrading my email. 'Cause I was like, email system. Yeah. I don't have starting
He said he's heading here on getting an ETA.
Where is he?
He said he's. Oh, how far away is it?
Click on the app.
I should probably do that first motion because it's kind of what about the pool?
What does it say? If I want it.
Always take that. I'd like to call the special meeting of the Water Pollution Control Authority and regular town council meeting of North Branford, Connecticut to order on Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024. At this time, we will salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call? Here.
Present.
Here.
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 Here. Here.
Yeah, you can just note what time he comes in. Okay. Next item is minutes of previous meetings, December 19th, 2023, the regular town council meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve? So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. Okay, into the Water Pollution Control Authority agenda. First item is correspondence, citizen statement regarding WPCA. Nothing. Unfinished business, there's none listed. New business, nothing listed. And citizen statements, once again, for WPCA, nothing. We will move on to the regular town council meeting. First item is reports of committees, boards, and commissions. We'll skip over economic development because that's Craig's, and I know he did go to the last one, so we'll just go back to that. Park and Recreation held their meeting last night. Their main order of business was their budget, and they approved their budget to submit to the town manager. And then the director, Jessie, also talked about 2 grants that she is going to be moving forward with. They're grants from the DEP, and they're for trails. One is for at North Farms Park. The study was done on the bridge, and there's some work that needs to be done there, and then also some painting. It's the painting part is within the next 3 to 5 years. The other work needs to be completed now, or get scheduled, and so she's applying for a grant for that. And then she's also applying for a grant for a ADA compatible trail up at Stanley T. And basically it would go from the building and around by the pickleball courts, around the field area in the front of the building, come back around. It's about a 1/4 mile, and it would be that you could use strollers, or it would be ADA compatible also. And she's applying for a grant for that project also. The first part of the grant is the actual drawings. And then once that, if that gets approved and she gets the grant money, then she will apply for the second phase of it, which is the actual installation of it. Both of those grants will come before the council in our February meeting, because there is a match by the council, by the town. But that doesn't necessarily all have to be in money. It can be in services. So if Public Works does any work, or if there's work done with the town engineer, that type of thing, those costs can go towards the cost of our dollar amount of the grant. So that will be coming forward to us in February. And that was it for Park and Rec. Next is Police Commission.
Okay, the meeting was on January 8th. It was announced that our 2 new hires have started their training, and that the department has also been able already to utilize the bilingual services of one of the new hires, which is great. In terms of the ARPA funding, everything, I think the mayor mentioned this last time, but everything's been ordered except for the firearms. They're still evaluating those. One of the things that the police department's working on is checking handicap parking placards. A lot of people still use old placards, and they, cause problems, especially in parking lots, Food Star, et cetera. So that's something they're working on. I think the town council knows that a formal letter was finally received notifying the department that it met Tier 1 for accreditation, and now they'll be working on Tiers 2 and 3. Another thing you might want to know about is there's the State Department of Transportation is going to be putting up some horizontal curve warning signs this summer on some of our local roads. But just to set your mind at ease, it's all paid for through federal funding. So that's going to happen on I think it's about 8 or 9 roads in town. And that's it.
So the humps,
Pardon?
they're the humps, those?
They're called they're curve warnings, yeah. So horizontal curve warning.
Okay. Next we'll go to Fire Commission.
Fire Commission's next meeting's for the first week of February.
Okay. Planning and zoning.
I didn't attend the meeting.
I'm not gonna be able to attend for at least another month and a half. My basketball schedule's crazy.
Okay. Finance Subcommittee. We met on January 9th. And the biggest thing, which is on our agenda later on, is the funding for the reevaluation and how that is going to be handled. It was overlooked and not put into the budget this year, but it's something we have to do. So they did check with the company that is going to do it so that we can split it up. And then we just went through the financial reports also, which are on the agenda later. Public safety communications.
I'm happy to announce that today that the fire department went online with the new communication system, so everybody's online. And that my understanding is Public Works is thrilled because finally they can hear each other during snowstorms. It's been, I guess I understand, very wonderful experience for them. I think at this point, since we know that the chief is retiring soon, that we recognize the chief. I think he had an awful lot to do with getting that communication system going. He really worked hard on that. He constantly kept everybody updated. And I think he should be very proud of his efforts, and I think we should acknowledge that. I really think that that's very important.
Okay. All right, thank you. And last one is CIWWA.
And that's meeting tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to go back to economic development for committee report.
First of all, I'd like to apologize for being late. I misread the time.
It's okay, it's the first
We've
time.
all been there.
Economic development, I'd like to apologize for that too, because that was my first meeting, and I didn't realize that they were having a presentation that night. and I had to go to work that night, so I ended up leaving early. But in the meantime, they did have a presentation with Rex, who's a Regional Economic Acceleration Development Consultants, who provided the commission with a slideshow that provided information of types of services that they offer. They will come back again and give another presentation directly for North Branford, recommendation on where we need the most focus on economic growth and how to achieve it. Because the ARPA funds that we receive, their services are free to us until June 2024. So, and then after that, I ended up leaving because I was running a little bit late. So,
Okay.
hopefully the next meeting I'll have more information for you.
Okay, well, great, we appreciate
And
it.
me being there late was my fault again, so I apologize.
It's okay. All right, on to town manager report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, councilors. With the beginning of the new year, we've begun to initiate the 2024-25 town budget process. Proposals from departments are due in by the end of the month, where I'll begin my meetings with department heads and the finance director in preparation for delivering a proposed budget to the council ahead of the charter required April 1st deadline. I wanted to advise the council that I've begun work on a new annual report for the town of North Branford. The town of North Branford has not issued an annual report since 2009, and it is required under Chapter 6.2 of the town charter. The annual report is an opportunity to showcase our community, our significant accomplishments, and important information. I look forward to delivering this report to you and the community later this year. Shoreline Chamber Excellence Awards. The Shoreline Chamber of Commerce will be holding its annual Excellence Awards on Thursday, February 22nd at the Woodlands in Branford. This year, we're pleased to see the Excellent Award and Innovation go to Spark Cycle Works of North Branford, and the Community Partner Award go to the North Branford Potato and Corn Festival. Congratulations to these recipients on their award, and we look forward to celebrating with them at this event. We've begun to publicize the application process for nonprofits to apply for the ARPA pool the town council has set aside for them. And you have the first of those applications before you this evening on your agenda. And I'm aware of more that will be on their way soon for your review. Nonprofits that are interested in receiving support from the ARPA funding set aside by the council can visit our website, northbranfordct.gov, to get details on how to apply. We recently conducted another ribbon cutting event to welcome Katsu Restaurant. Katsu is a sushi and Mexican food restaurant located where the former Wasabi was located in Central Plaza. I was joined by Mayor Angeloni, State Representative Vin Candelora, and Assistant Town Manager Rory Burke to welcome owners Oscar and Freddie and their families. In addition to sushi and Mexican fare, they have added a full bar with happy hour specials from 3 to 6 p.m. We have others in the works coming up, including one for Supreme Seafood, which is under new ownership. So please be on the lookout for this and other invitations coming soon. Councilor Diamond mentioned the radio transition, so I'll skip my whole section on that. National Law Enforcement Recognition Day was January 9th, and it gives us an opportunity to thank the brave men and women at the North Branford Police Department who protect and serve our town's residents every single day. And of course, I certainly didn't want to fail to mention that because like 3 of you are in law enforcement, so I just wanted to make sure I put that out. On a sad note, I regret to report that longtime Board of Education member and former Town Council member Miriam Mimi Miller passed away on Saturday, January 13th. I know several members of the council knew Mimi, and I had the honor of serving with her on the Town Council from 1997 to 2001. She was a longtime parishioner and Eucharistic minister at St. Augustine Church in North Branford and was renowned there for her vocal talents as a member of their choir. She was a highly devoted member of the North Branford community, serving 12 years on the Board of Education and 12 years on the Town Council. The town has sent an arrangement in her memory for her services, which will be held Thursday in Guilford. And I know all of you join me in extending our heartfelt sympathies to her and her family and loved ones, with thanks for the many years of service she gave to make this town better. Northford Connectivity Study. In your folders tonight, the council has a scope of study for the Northford Connectivity Study. The council was last briefed on the Northford Connectivity Study in concert with SCROG and the Connecticut Department of Transportation last summer, and I wanted to bring our town planner David Perkins up to give you an update on the status, and I can turn it over to David.
So this is a study that is being funded by the South Central Regional Council of Governments. It's a $100,000 study that I've been pushing for since I got here. We've been awarded that grant. You have the scope of work in front of you. Basically, the idea is to study once again Northford Center, the number of entryways onto the state highway there is severe. There's no sidewalks, there's no way to get from the community center to the library. This study will build on the other studies that we've had in the past, and hopefully will lead us to a place where we can apply for a much larger connectivity grant and actually do something. This is not a study that we're going to put on the shelf and forget about.
Thank you, Dick. Any other questions? Any questions on that? Great, thank you. That concludes my report.
Okay. Next item is permanent projects.
So for the North Branford Police Department, the roofing is in process, insulation and drywall are underway, and we had a walkthrough of the facility ahead of last night's permanent project building committee. North Branford High School, the wrapping of the punch list items continue. In the Phase 2 section, masonry finishing of the interior walls and roofing will be done in the coming weeks. And for NBIS, there's no update with the project remaining on schedule. That concludes my report.
Okay. Next is community events and presentations. So we have a presentation tonight on Nearmap.
Can I just ask a quick
Oh,
question?
yep.
Can we have an update on the police department?
An update on the police department?
Yeah, progress, what's going on, because, I keep receiving things about little indications of issues going on there. And what's the timeline? Are we on time, or it's gonna be done in a timely fashion? Because like, people drive by and they said, everything's running slow over there, so.
I know timeline.
You know.
If you want me to share it.
Sure.
So it was initially, the timeline was set for April, and now they're looking towards just shortly after, which would be middle of May, end of May type of environment. Pretty typical for building environment. So right now, I think they're online. They're as you can see, there's been a lot of work on the roof, and the siding, and all the kind of finished work is going in. We'll start outfitting the inside as well. So I think we're on par for a pretty close to,
At this point,
projected
yeah,
project.
they're projecting that we're on schedule. They're, as with everything, there could be some hiccups and some changes in that, but right now,
Oh, wow.
officially, we're on schedule. But I
So
could certainly,
do we have a clerk of the works?
yes,
Yeah.
Tom Bailey.
Who?
Yep, Tom Bailey.
How many times is he there?
How many times is
Yeah,
he
does he
there?
go there daily? Does he check it weekly? I mean, how does it work?
I don't know that he's there daily, but he's there pretty often.
Okay, because, I just have questions regarding some matters that are going on over there, as far as the inspection.
Sure, if you'd like,
You know,
if
this
it's the
is a
council's
building that
pleasure, we
we
could
are
bring somebody
investing.
in from the committee to talk to you guys.
I'm sorry?
I said, if it's the council's pleasure, we could bring somebody in to talk to you guys on it from,
No, it's just the thing is, I had the issue with, the questions with Lane's Pond and then the high school in here, and it's just, sometimes I just wonder why the projects are taking so long. And it's not just me questioning, it's like people in general ask the questions, so, and then I heard those, those problems with the high school at one point, and then those problems with the police department. So, this is investment that our town is investing in, and we want to make sure that it's done right, because I know in the past, we had other structures that we run into problems today, so.
right. I could say that the Permanent Project Building Committee is doing a great job in, overseeing that whole process, as are our staff that are involved. There are always problems with every project that we undertake. Those are being addressed as they come up appropriately. But certainly I could understand especially from your standpoint, being new to the council and not having had the same ability to review all that the rest of the council has, we could certainly get you up to speed on all that, and the rest of the council a full update on everything.
I mean, I have family members that are in construction, so I'm aware of, like, when I watch things going on, sometimes I see things, I'm like, that thing should have been done a long time ago. So I'm just wondering if it's just material problems, is it just problems with inspection, or is it just,
Well, I will tell you that public, when you do municipal or public construction, takes much longer than if it's private industry.
Right.
That's for sure.
The police department was never scheduled to be done before the current timeframe.
Yeah.
We had the delay last year that was associated with the FEMA grant, which ended up causing us to break ground in February, but we were always targeting spring, summer.
all right, thank you.
Yeah, I think next meeting, if you have somebody come in, because I know that there's been some deficiencies and there's been some discrepancies between town hall and the permanent building committee. And I think we all up here have some concerns, and we'd like to get that ironed out, I think.
Sure, happy to do it.
Okay, any other questions on the town manager's report? Okay, we'll go on to 9A, demonstration on near map interactive software.
Good evening.
Hold on one second. Did we get, oh, never mind. I have something.
Oh, okay.
The first image is a building permit for an in-ground pool. Dave will show you the property with and without the pool. As you can see, they're starting construction on the pool, and in the next frame, you see it's finished. Near maps can help me in tracking the simple permits, such as pools and sheds, while I inspect more complex permits that usually require an interior inspection. And my permit season coincides with the building season, and of course the grand list season. So this is extremely helpful, and it's saving me time, especially going out in the field. The next property Dave will show you is it's a 26 by 26 addition. This is helpful because I can avoid visiting the same property over and over again. With near maps, I can determine when the property is finished, so I can actually go out and do the inspection and hopefully get inside the property. Another one is
So in this case, they built the foundation of this building in 2016. And then they put their little hoop tent on top of it in 2018. And they never really got around to building the addition to the house until when? Now we can find out when it's actually completed. Here it is.
and it's finished right before Dave. Go one frame over. Up. No, toward current year.
That's as current as we are.
Okay. And you can see the addition was completed right before the assessment date, so that was added to the 2023 grand list. Like I said, I mean, instead of going out and visiting the same property over and over again, I can actually go out when the property is finished. The last one is 286 Branford Road. This is working in reverse. This is a demolition permit. Yeah,
So we all know this location, right?
right, exactly. That's exactly what it is. There's the building.
Yeah.
Going a few frames forward. A few more frames, and the building is gone.
Right.
So this helps me.
And the road's redone, right?
Yeah, this helps me save time in the field. I do visit the more complex properties. Assessors do need to get out in the field quite often, but this does save me time for little permits like pools and sheds.
So it's interesting that if you zoom in, you really don't get any close detail of people, or this is as close as you can get.
We're a two-person office, so this program acts like a part-timer for me, basically. Is there any properties you'd like to see?
So as you're checking the properties, it's jumping every 3 months? Is that what it's doing?
Every 6 months.
6 months.
So, every 6 months, I think you would go to a property more than that, than waiting 6 months. No.
Yeah, I go out there until it's complete.
I'm
And
sorry?
I inspect it. The important date is October 1st.
Okay,
If it's finished on that date, I add it to the ground list. If not, it's active to the following year.
How far does it go back?
2014.
So in the process of a building permit, what is the process from start to finish?
We have a building permitting system. So I look at the permits for the current year, and that starts after October 1st for the prior year. So I print only the permits that have an impact on value. And I actually go out in the field and I inspect those permits. And to see if they're complete. When they're complete, I measure it, list it, and value it, and add that to the grand list.
Right, so the process in the town, it almost sounds like it needs to be streamlined, where if a building permit is issued, there's a certain parameters, or certain levels that follow it. You know, if you're building a house, say, you know, your footing inspection, you know, your electrical inspection.
There are.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
And then, when it gets to the point where it's finished, then it should go to the next phase, would be to the tax assessor, right?
Right.
So rather than, because it sounds like, I could be wrong, you're gonna correct me, I'm sure, but
No, go ahead,
it
go ahead.
sounds like that there's not a communication between the final inspection from a building side to the assessor side, because that would solve the issue. You wouldn't be running out there for, you know, to do inspections that weren't warranted.
Yeah, well, yes and no. For new construction, the building inspector, he creates a CO, so I know it's finished. I see
Yeah.
it right in the permitting system. For pools and sheds, they don't ask for final inspections. So the permit's always open, so I don't know if it's finished or not.
You don't rely on the resident, the person who pulled the permit to sit there and call you, to sit there and say, hey, I'm finished?
If the building inspector is called and it gets a call from the taxpayer, he'll go out there and look at the property. But for things like pools or sheds, and if it doesn't get a call, there's no final inspection.
What's the parameters on a shed? Is it a shed on blocks, not?
Anything 10 by 7 or over, or 10 by 10 and bigger. Blocks or no blocks.
Huh.
See, and that's, when it comes to sheds, you know, the last time we were here, he referred to people being ignorant. I'm unaware of all that. I was never aware. I thought I'd just go out in my backyard and build a shed until someone said, you can't do that.
You know, I'll be honest, if this town started today, if the town was formed today, I wouldn't value sheds, I wouldn't tax sheds. It doesn't really, it really doesn't,
It's not like you live in them.
it doesn't change the market value of the house, it doesn't really, so.
That and it depreciates pretty quickly.
Right, so I wouldn't, in a perfect world, I wouldn't value sheds.
Exactly.
So what's the return on this? What would you say the return would be?
More than the investment,
We talked about.
much more,
What's
much more than the investment.
7,500?
7,500, I think about 21,000 would be the return all in.
21,000 by when? In 6 months, 6 years?
I reached that level already,
You've reached it already.
I have, on this year's grand list. And it's not for residential property, for commercial property.
That's strictly for commercial.
Yeah, not residential, commercial. The residential, I only use it for the permitting, to see if the property, or to see if the construction is actually complete.
And it's every 6 months?
The flyover, yes.
Every 6 months.
And is it a yearly plan, like every year you renew it?
Yes, I believe so, right there?
Yes.
Yeah.
How many, probably a tough question, but how many man-hours a year do you think this would save you?
I can't give you a number off the top of my head, but a lot, because I mean, just for simple permits like pools and sheds, like I said, I do it right from my desk.
Yeah,
Of course, for new construction, additional, I have to go out and measure it. So
Sure.
I have to go out there and get into the property. It's you know, the permitting inspections, they occur right during my grand list season, beginning of, and right when the building season starts in July, so it's a great help, saves me time, it really does.
because when we talk about the savings, the 21,000 or whatever, that's just off of the grand list. But if you were to add in man-hour savings, I'm sure it's, you know,
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but it's still cost effective.
Yeah.
It's still pretty much cost effective.
no, I'm saying it's, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think
Even adding the
I don't
man
think
hours.
that's real dollars, Ron, because if they're not able to use the man hours now because they don't have enough time, then that's not really a savings. But the gain is what they're bringing up, you know.
Well, yeah, so I guess the follow-up question would be, and that's a good point, Tom, thank you, is do you feel as though we're missing things now, and we could be doing better?
Actually, I mean, I love that most towns don't have a permitting system that talk to the assessor in the building department. We do, and it's wonderful.
Okay.
I give you plans and everything. Just the small permits aren't closed out, so this helps me just take care of the small permits.
Sure.
With this, so, scenario, I have a footprint for a garage, and I have to rebuild a new garage. Let's just say, I apply for the permit, I'll give you a 20 by 18. And I build it, you haven't inspected it yet, right? And 6 months later, would you know that I built it 4 feet bigger by this?
Yes, I could, but if I...
Without coming out and inspecting?
Yeah, I could.
Yes.
It has a measuring tool. That's a great measuring tool.
So you'd be able to measure the
Right.
buildings?
But if you didn't pull a permit, I would never know.
Well, I'm just,
You can actually measure vertical height
Yeah.
with the tool as well.
Cubic feet, yes. It's pretty accurate.
Now what are you gonna do?
So now, because this came up last meeting, so it does it every 6 months.
Correct.
So they do the flyover, they go over my house, you know, there's no shed there. In that time, I don't pull a permit or whatever, I put a shed in. In 6 months, when it flies over again, it's gonna show that shed, correct? Now, is it gonna automatically tell you, flag that, hey, there's something different here between the 6 months? Is it gonna give you some kind of list?
Yeah, okay, I think Dave, you want to address that? Because I think, doesn't it have a layer over and identifies any changes to that layer?
I'm not sure that it would necessarily pick that up. It does have artificial intelligence that can tell pools, but it doesn't really remember whether there was a pool there the last time or not. So I think you're correct in that it does not tell you the change.
Okay, so it's not like every 6 months, here's a
We get a
flag of
list.
here's the list of everything,
Yeah.
okay.
You gotta go look.
All right,
Because I know that was a question a lot of people had.
I thought it did.
Last
I thought
month,
it did.
yeah, and I think that's where there was a lot of apprehension, because is this just Big Brother's watching, and every 6 months, even though, you know, nobody made a complaint about me, oh, wait, no, here's on the list, there's something there that wasn't before.
There is a layer that shows you construction activity based on their artificial intelligence, which is sort of, you know, a bunch of dirt showing up on the ground. It's not really that accurate.
But basically, Big Brother is watching all the time anyway. And this system is going by and taking the pictures. It's all out there, but you guys just want permission to access it. So it isn't like, if we don't go with this, it isn't like they're still not getting all these pictures. They're all still there. And I know different people I work with in construction, like a lot of landscapers and stuff. Now, if you call up a landscaper and say, hey, I want you to cut my lawn, they do the same thing. They can measure the lawn, they can tell how much edging you have, how much weed whacking they have to do. So when you call a landscaper or call a construction company, they're already looking at your property. So, like, none of this stuff is secrets. You know, so you can't say, well, no, don't turn it on, don't take these pictures. No, you know, it's all out there anyway.
Yeah, the benefit of this is just the frequency of the flyovers. That's the real benefit of it.
6 months. And what product, tell me again what product it is. I'm looking at their website. The vertical, the oblique, the near map 3D.
Vertical.
Is the vertical.
Vertical allows you to go back. Oblique doesn't. Oblique is just a current
Okay.
photo.
And okay, so you're not the three, because we talked about the 3D and elevations and stuff like that.
We didn't mention that at all.
Okay, it wasn't that? It's okay. Let me make sure I'm understanding it.
Correct.
So the vertical has elevations.
It's 2D.
2D, but,
It's two-dimensional.
okay.
Do you have this in your budget to pay for this?
I don't think so right now, no.
No, there's a contingency transfer on the agenda for this, so it would require a vote from the council.
I mean, I personally think if everybody's being fair and you build something and you ask for something and you build it to size and you're not doing anything wrong, why should everybody follow the rules and then somebody go stick a 20 by 20 addition on the back of their building or house or something? And I mean, I'm kind of, right? So, I mean,
Right.
if you're not doing anything wrong, who cares? And I don't think they would ask us for this service if they didn't need it. I mean, I'm just saying it. They're asking for something that they need and it's out there anyway.
Well, it's a tool that has been developed, over the years with technology, and we're not the first town looking to use it, as it was reported last time. I believe there were 20-some towns that were already using it.
Correct.
And my feeling is that number's just going to grow. So. Okay, does anyone else have any questions for them? There is an agenda item later on.
So just to be clear, 7,500 a year, so it's reoccurring every year,
Yes,
7,500?
yes, sir.
Right, so you could discontinue it at any time if we saw that there wasn't a benefit to the program.
Just year to year.
Yeah.
So if we don't authorize this, what kind of imagery will you use now? Google Earth? Is that what you're doing now, or is it just knocking on doors, getting on properties?
No, I still have to go out. Yeah,
Of course,
I
but
just have to visit the properties that have pools, and I have to see if they're installed.
Do you have any imagery resources now?
No. The last flyover was 2018?
2019, there's another one they just did this past summer that the state's about to produce momentarily.
Okay,
But if I look at your property today, it would be a 2019 image.
yeah. I mean, you get varying, I think if you use like any of the Facebook, I guess Meta or whatever that could
Right.
have a
Google Earth.
It catches up eventually, it's just that it takes us many years in between the images that are available to us right now.
Yeah, okay. So there is an element of flyover that you have now, it's just not current enough.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And seeing the same satellite image of the property over time is really fabulous.
Sure.
Okay? All right, we're going to move on.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All right,
guys.
thank you. To item 10, citizen statements and petitions and correspondence.
Sit right there.
2 minutes.
Scott was here. Potter Northford. Madam Mayor, I'd like to change that last word to citizen statements, petitions, and compliments. After my injury on December 8th, you can't drag me out of this town after what went on. I was so impressed with just everybody was so attentive, all the help I got. It was an accident and it happened, but man, I tell you, this town is family. And I was blown away, and everybody was so nice and calling me and checking on you, how am I doing? And I don't want to move out. I like it here. So I just wanted to thank you all personally. And some of you were responsible for this growing meal, And I kind of had to beat my wife to the packages, though, sometimes. She would get the mail and, come here, don't worry about it. So again, thank you all. It was an accident. I'll be back next year with the hay rides. We might change the loading unloading situation, but other than that, the hay rides will still be there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad you're feeling better.
Glad to see you all. Okay.
Madam Mayor, I would just bring to your attention a letter that was added to your packets. It is email correspondence from Bill Sepistano for tonight's. And either I could read it, or one of you wanted to read it.
No, that's fine. You can read it.
Thank you. Good evening, councilors. I was surprised at the recent change in council meeting schedule. I would think a 6 and 6 option would be good for a start this year until all the big projects are finished. Also, the council needs to revisit the tax relief for senior board to raise the cap, because with the credit going to $700 this year, that would put us way over the $100,000 cap. Most towns have their cap set at 0.5% of the town total budget. $300,000 is where it should be reset. Please look over the material in your folders reference to blight, especially the 3 ZEO activity reports. The right ZEO is essential. I believe there is money in the budget for this part-time person. Looking forward to the next time the council talks blight. Thank you, Bill Savastano.
Okay. All right, and.
Yeah, I'd like to recognize Walter Goad and Austin Goad. About a week or so ago, there was a dog missing in town for around 7 to 10 days. And with their alertness, they recovered the dog alive and well, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
The one with the leash on it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You found that dog. It was great.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that.
and I think
Right
that's,
on the property, right, was there for 8 days, it was wrapped up there.
Oh, gosh. Well, that's very nice that you're able to help with that.
Thank you, Tom.
Good job.
okay. Any other citizen statements? Okay, going on to resignations and appointments. I know it looks like a lot, it's a whole page of our agenda, but we can get through this very quickly. I think the one that's going to take the longest is A, appointments to the Veterans Service Commission. So we all received this in December, the list of who applied. I was very impressed with the number of people that came forward with it, and now it's our task to appoint 5 members to the committee. And so, based on that list, does anyone have any names that they would like to bring forward from that list? I know I talked to Councilor Miller and,
One name I was looking at was Hamlet Hernandez,
okay,
and the second was Tony Catapano.
okay, all right, I will put both of those on that list, so that's 2 out of the 5. Does anyone else have any?
I was impressed with, reading the resumes, I was impressed with Dan Camp and Zachary Poston. I thought they were.
Yeah, that's great.
They had quite a bit of service.
I'm good, Beth. Does a great job.
Okay. I see Charles Larkin is on here, and I know Chuck has come to a lot of our council meetings in regards to the veterans and has been a part of it, and I would like to bring his name forward for the committee.
You got a while ago.
Let's see
Yeah.
that. I want to show them the name there.
How many alternates were there? Do you remember? I just saw that there was 5 regular, but it doesn't.
2, I think.
Thank you.
Okay, so do I have a motion to appoint the following 5 regular members? Charles Larkin, Hamlet Hernandez, Tony Catapano, Dan Camp, and Zachary Poston.
Motion.
Second?
Okay, a motion has been made by Deputy Mayor McMillan, seconded by Councilor Diamond. Any discussion?
Madam Mayor, I would just point out one thing. I believe that, I would ask the town attorney for clarification on it, but I believe you have to pick out which of those are for how long, because you're going to be staggering the
Oh.
initial terms.
Oh, yes, they do.
Because they're 3-year terms, and you'd have to pick who is on for 1, who's on for 2 and 3, and then they'll all eventually
Yes, and no
cycle
one
out.
falls off all at once.
Right.
Makes sense.
Okay, I was just reading that, okay. I didn't see that. So, what's the number as far as how many are 1 term, or what's the term lengthen?
First 3. Yours.
The stuff I'm looking at here doesn't have that.
Too many?
No, we have we have 5, which is what we need. It's just setting their terms.
You
How long?
structured it so no one would come off, you wouldn't want all 5 to come off at the same time. They need to either reappoint or find 5 new. So we have, some people are coming off a year later, and then you get reappointed, and then some have a term for 3 years, and some have a term for 5 years. So it's not, it's always kind of offset,
So-
like the other committee, because it's a new committee.
Can we ask, do we have to determine that, or can we ask we determine who's doing what?
We determine their
The length of service?
The length of service, and it's only for the first time, because then after that, it'll just,
Correct.
You have staggered, in order to have staggered terms of a new commission, you have to, on the initial appointment, appoint the people to various terms. And then when their term expires, they get the standard, I think it's a 3-year term on this. But at least they're already staggered in perpetuity that way.
So what if we just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Well,
But there's no
actually,
5-year term.
Why can't we, what if they don't want to do a 5-year term?
it's not a,
It's not a 5-year
I think the
term.
most
They
is
could
3.
resign.
Yeah.
No, we have to.
They could change it, if you make it more complicated.
So I have it, I could read it if you.
Yeah.
You just go down the list, just do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
I would have the town manager tell you how many you can have for each. He's got it in front of him right
Yeah,
there. He'll
so-
tell you how many individuals get appointed to what term initially.
So just go through this quickly. The commission shall consist of 5 regular members and 3 alternate members, appointed by the town council. All regular members and alternate members shall either be veterans, et cetera. We all know the details. So 3 regular members and 1 alternate member of the electorate shall be appointed for an initial 3-year term. 1 regular member and 1 alternate member of the electorate shall be appointed for an initial 2-year term. And 1 regular member and 1 alternate member shall be appointed for an initial 1-year term.
Okay. So, okay, so we need to have, so on the regular members, the 5 that we just voted, that we have, we will go with Hamlet Hernandez, Tony Catapano, and Zach Poston for 3-year terms. Charles Larkin for a 2-year, and Dan Camp for a 1-year. So that will take care of the regular members.
So I amend my motion as such.
I'll second.
Okay, so that's the regular members and the number of terms. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Okay, motion carries. So now we need to have 3 alternates.
I would like to recommend Edward Donadio, Bob Biglione. There's 2.
And how about Victoria Caroline?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's good.
As an alt. So out of the alternates, we'll take the first one, Ed Donadio for a 3-year. Who was your second one?
Oh, you have my list.
Oh, Bob Biglione. Okay, for a 2-year. And Victoria Caroline for 1 year.
Second motion. Keep the motion.
Well, make the motion, you're second.
I'll second.
Okay, motion has been made by Councilor Diamond, second by Deputy Mayor McMillan. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Okay, great. So now we have our Veteran Service Commission appointed. And those letters will go out to them then stating all of this?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. The next item is appointment of Deputy Mayor McMillan and Councilor Zampano for a combined slot on the Blueprint Committee.
I'd like to make a motion that the town council of the town of North Branford hereby appoints Deputy Mayor Jeffrey McMillan to the Blueprint Committee to serve in an alternating capacity with Councilor Tom Zampano.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made by Councilor Diamond, seconded by Councilor Abelson. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained?
Abstain.
Abstain.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, and now we have the appointment of Howard Kantrovitz as the hearing officer.
I'd like to make that motion of Howard Kantrovitz. I like Howard to stand up so you all get to know Howard. Howard is a retired attorney. I think he'll do a great job.
All right.
Thank you, Howard.
Thank you for
Thank you.
volunteering, Howard.
Second.
You can't get out of it now, Howard.
Okay, motion has been made by Counselor Diamond, seconded by Counselor Abelson. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Congratulations, welcome, Howard.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, now for the next ones, we can do this all in one motion.
Yes,
For
ma'am.
the sake of the public, I'm going to read off the name and what board or commission they are being appointed to. And then at the end, we can make one motion to appoint all of them. So we have the reappointment of Sean Flynn to the Building Code Board of Appeals, Kenneth Newbig, Building Code Board of Appeals, Robert Whitworth, Conservation and Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Agency, Alice Lear, Ethics Commission, Connor Boughton, Ethics Commission, Joseph Civitello, Board of Fire Commissioners, Laura Burridge, Board of Fire Commissioners, Marion O'Shea, Housing Authority, John Pollock, Police Commission, Frederick Auger, Police Commission, Thomas Skelfo, Solid Waste Recycling Committee, Peter Deo as an alternate to the Zoning Board of Appeals, William Galdenzi to the Conservation and Inland Wetlands Watercourse Agency as the P&Z alternate, Larry Casey to the Board of Assessment Appeals, Tricia Mace to Planning and Zoning Commission, Ashley Joyner to the Conservation and Inland Wetlands Watercourse Agency.
Make a motion as stipulated.
Second.
And those are to the terms as set forth on the agenda, for the terms. as set
Correct.
forth on the agenda.
Set forth in the agenda.
We got 17 members reappointed.
Yes.
17.
Thank you.
Gwen Phelps.
Make note that Bruce can count.
Okay. Motion has been made by Deputy Mayor McMillan, seconded by Councilor Palladino. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Okay, look at, we're on page 3 already. All right, on to unfinished business, discussion and action. Discussion and review of the 2019 blight ordinance proposal.
So we still don't have a proposal before you this evening. The town attorney and the town planner and I have a meeting this week to go over that, and hopefully we'll have something for you guys to look at for your February meeting.
Okay, great.
That'll be done, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is creation of an 1831 committee. I know this has been carried on here just so that we don't forget about it. This is for the creation of the committee for the 200th birthday of the town of North Branford. So we're 7 years away now. When we started talking about this, we were 8 years away. So time is moving on.
I told you it creeps up.
But one of the reasons it's also on here is based on past information that was given to us. The last celebration was for the 150th birthday of the town. And the town council did appropriate money towards this. And so this is something we have to start thinking about. And if we want to put money in our budget, to start doing it now and put so much away each year so that we have some money to go towards it. And the idea is that this celebration would be in conjunction, would happen at the same time as the Bumble Fest. It would be kind of all together, one celebration, and it would be wrapped in.
What are your shirts now?
We talked about this back a couple months ago. Didn't we say we were gonna put a certain amount away every year? Did we actually say that we come up with a number of like $5,000 or $10,000?
Well, we didn't, because it has to happen at budget times, but we did talk about it, and we were all in agreement that we would start
Doesn't have to be
putting
anything
some,
major, just this chunk is every year, just.
so that we had money. So
We opened the fund, didn't we?
we,
I think we actually opened a fund, an account,
Yeah, we created the account already.
Right.
yeah, so that, I mean, for the 150th birthday, so that's almost, so it's 43 years ago. At that time, the council put $25,000 into the fund. And they did it like, according to all the articles that we read, like within months, just before before it happened. So if you look at $25,000 43 years ago, that's would be quite a dollar amount now to support it. So we do have to start thinking about it.
Something
I don't
like
think
that.
you're $5,000 or $10,000.
$500,000.
Yeah.
Who needs fire trucks?
Yeah. Needs to be cupcakes and party hats.
That's right.
The ARPA fund would be gone by then.
Yes. Okay, so it'll just be on there as a reminder so that we do create this and start thinking about how much we're going to put away. So now we're on to item 13A, resolution of Connecticut Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security.
Want me to make the motion first?
What is it?
Sorry, this is the kind of pro forma resolution that the department, the Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security requires us to have on file with them so that we can receive funds. Of course, it doesn't impact, if there were to be a situation where we were to get a grant, this would still come before you, it would still go as normal. But they just need to have this on file, and they require us to do it when the legislative body of the town changes. So of course, you just had an election, and of course, most of you are the same, but still, because it's a new council, they want you to pass it.
Resolved that the town of North Branford may enter into with and deliver to the state Connecticut Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection, the Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, any and all documents in which it deems to be necessary or appropriate. And further resolved that Michael Downs, as town manager of the town of North Branford, is authorized and directed to execute and deliver any and all documents on behalf of the town of North Branford, and to do and perform all acts and things which she deems to be necessary or appropriate to carry out the terms of such documents.
Second.
Okay, the motion has been made by Councilor Diamond, seconded by Deputy Mayor McMillan. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Okay. The next item is approval of award for RFP number 924005 to JLY Construction Managers wheelchair lift for the Atwater Library.
Make a motion?
Second.
Discussion?
About time.
Okay, yes, it's great to see that this will be starting. I know it's going to take a couple months, but at least it will be done. So, any other discussion? No?
Mayor, just to be clear, you're doing it for the total award of $99,874, which includes the ad alternate, correct?
Yes. So we'll make that as part of the motion.
All right, I amend my motion to such.
Okay.
Do you mind if I ask this question?
Yep.
Don't mean to take up time, but what's the warranty on that lift? Is there a warranty on that lift?
It's 1 year included in the base proposal, and then we're going to opt for the 4 years of additional warranty.
Yeah.
And that's going to be funded through my annual operating budget. So
Okay,
that's the
that would-
$7,500 add-on.
That would definitely be good, because I remember last time, whether it was $450 an hour for service on the last one?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're going to fund the 4 years additionally through my operating.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
That'd be perfect. Thank you.
Okay. All right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Okay, the next item is approval of award for RFP number 924006 to Municipal Valuation Services for in the amount of $90,000. Okay.
I recommended this company because they hire members of the Appraisal Institute. That's the highest level of appraiser there is in the country. And they also provide me with an actual commercial appraisal for each one of our commercial properties. And I thought they were pretty spot on with the last reval in 2020. We didn't have any appeals considering we had about 5% increase in values.
So they were the same company that did our last reval?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, so I know the issue that we talked about in finance with this it's a total cost of $90,000, which is not budgeted for. It was just an oversight on everyone's part because the reevaluation was supposed to be in '25, and then the state changed it and moved it up a year, and it was just missed in the budget. And so not to deplete our contingency amount this early in the year, I know Anthony was going to talk, or maybe Dave did, to talk to see once if we could split the cost. And I see in here that they are going to divide the payment in two, $25,000 out of this year's budget, which we will take from contingency, and there is a motion later on in the agenda for that. And then the other remaining $65,000 we can budget for when we do our budget this year, to be paid in the 24-25 fiscal year on there. So thank you for reaching out to them, and they, took our recommendation of being able to split it, our request. So do I hear a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Motion was made by Councilor Palicio, second by Councilor Palladino. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Okay, next item is the wellness grant. Which I believe we have someone here.
Yes, bring up Carrie Haynes.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
So last year, we accepted approximately $4,000 from APW, which is a program of BH Care for a local wellness council grant. It's a rolling grant, and it is up again, and we would like the council to approve us accepting the $4,000 again this year to provide wellness and prevention education here in town.
Okay, there is a suggested motion in our packet.
Okay. For the town manager, Michael Downs, to annually sign and accept funds to support North Branford Local Wellness Council and provide prevention work in the community.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, motion was made by Councilor Diamond, seconded by Councilor Goad. Any discussion?
There's no matching on the part of the town, right?
No.
Okay.
That's great money.
And what types of programs are you proposing or thinking of doing?
So we're looking at a couple things. We're looking at some curriculum-based programs to put into the health classrooms here in the schools. We would do that in partnership with Carter and Welch. And we're also looking at getting some speakers, some motivational speakers to come in and talk to mostly our middle school age group about prevention and wellness. There's a focus on vaping right now, so we're going to do that. We've also developed, sorry, there's one other thing. We've also developed a resource magnet that will be going out in the mail, hopefully to all residents here in town within the next month or so. And it's resources that include all of our local resources that are frequently asked about, and it also includes wellness and prevention resources that are available, hyper-local resources that are available to our residents here in town.
Okay, great. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Next is discussion on annual review process for the town manager. So Marie Diamond and I met with the town manager to go over how we would go through the evaluation and to pick an evaluation tool. As past council members and having to do the evaluation, we weren't impressed with the format that we used, and so we worked collaboratively with Mike to come up with something, and so I'm just going to let him talk about what the process is going to be.
Oh, I thought you were going to do that. Okay, so, but anyway, yeah, I developed and proposed to both Councilor Diamond and the mayor a form which was fairly standard from ICMA that was used as a rubric for evaluation for council members. So with some adjustments that were suggested by all parties involved, we came up with a final document, which I transmitted on last Friday to them. So I believe if that's been acceptable to the two of you, it could be transmitted to all the council members to be filled out and submitted to the mayor.
Right, but you're going to include it with that as a self-evaluation?
Yes,
Right.
so that would be a second part of it. I would be providing a self-evaluation and a goals to set forth for the council to use in that process.
So our timeline for this is that the town manager will get the self-evaluation done, and it'll come along, it'll be emailed to all of you in addition with the rubric, you'll have approximately 3 weeks to get it done and get it back to me. And since we have just one meeting a month, now we are going to set a separate executive session to do the evaluation. And it's going to happen prior to budget season starting, because that will determine, this is all leading up to when we set the budget and do compensation packages and everything. So we need to do this prior to the budget. So we are tentatively looking at Tuesday, March 5th. So keeping it on a Tuesday night, and it would be executive session, and the matter would be just for the evaluation of the town manager on there. We also felt that trying to do it in an executive session after a council meeting, it would just be late in the night, and it's really not fair to any of us to have to be able to do that. So if 6:30 works, the regular start time of our council meetings, we'll just schedule a special an executive session for the purposes of evaluation at that point in time also.
I would add that when we looked at that rubric, we took things out of there, those of us who have been in the council for a while, things that were hard for us to evaluate because we really aren't there on a daily basis. And then asked Mike to use those areas for his self-evaluation. He can develop goals, and that it would be easier for us to understand, and then he would have done a self-evaluation on it, which would help us.
And we also, as one of the sections that we took out of the evaluation form was an area on supervision. We're not involved in the daily process of that. And Marie and I are actually going to use those points to develop a few questions that we are going to use SurveyMonkey to send out a questionnaire to department heads to have them respond, and anonymously to come back to us. That will be part of the evaluation, that we'll get that information to share in there with everyone. So it'll come back to me, and then it'll get dispersed with all of the evaluation materials so that we can discuss it together. So that was another added point that we're doing in this evaluation.
All right.
Okay. Item F, ARPA additional amount for cloud access system.
Good evening. You may recall that one of the projects that was proposed for the ARPA funds was a cloud-based access system that the town buildings, community center, libraries, firehouses, and such now have. The budget was $45,000. You'll see the base invoice came in at $45,029, almost where we're right on the button. However, what we didn't contemplate at the time we did the project was the new building that Public Works put on. So there were additional doors that were built into the program, and additional wire to run the feed out to those doors. So in total, it's $3,032.71 over budget, proposing to round it to $3,035 to increase that ARPA funding project by $3,035.
That's fair.
Okay, be it hereby resolved that the North Branford Town Council approves increasing the ARPA appropriation for project 099-013 door access system by $3,035 to account for the doors in the new building of Public Works that wasn't included in the original discussion.
Second.
Motion has been made by Councilor Diamond, seconded by Deputy Mayor McMillan. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Okay, next one is ARPA project funding. So we started this process about a year ago. We had department heads submit ideas to us. Originally, we had gotten a lot of them, so then we narrowed it down to two. Each department head had to pick two that they wanted to bring forward. And then we have allocated funds based on that. So we have approximately $700,000 left in ARPA funding that we would like to allocate within the next month or two. I know at last month's meeting, a new one came up when we talked about the Public Works, and they are in the conceptual stage of an addition to their building, reconfiguring offices and adding more locker room and bathrooms, which is very much needed considering the staff that's there, and they have one bathroom. And then when you bring subcontractors in also, it gets a little tight in there. But the problem with that right now is we really don't have any idea of the cost of that project. Correct, Franny? I mean, where are you on conceptual drawing? Okay. Okay. Okay, I mean, that's fine. Just based on construction costs and everything else, I don't think we have enough funding to fund the project 100% anyway, but if we have more ideas by next month, that would probably help us on there. There are two projects on the list here that I would like to talk about. The first one was one presented by the library department, and I know Lauren is here tonight, so maybe she can just give a little update on what this trail access at Atwater Library is.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. As Mayor Angeloni said, about a year ago, we had submitted proposals, and one of the ones I submitted was for $10,000, and it was intended to be a collaborative project to support the work of the North Branford Land Conservation Trust. The proposal was for the installation of a set of stairs and hopefully a kiosk along the steep bank of terrain that abuts the Atwater Library parking lot, leading up to the Starry Lane Trail and the Harrison Farm Preserve at the end of North Street. For those that aren't familiar with the Harrison Farm Preserve, this was land that was donated by the Harrison family to the Land Trust to preserve and protect this beautiful piece of property in its natural state. The problem with that area is there's very limited parking at the trailhead on Harrison Farm Preserve. So the intent or the idea was to create greater accessibility to the preserve by creating a trailhead on that piece of land, the hillside facing the parking lot, and allow safer, easier access from a public parking area. The reason I chose to support this project was because I felt the vision of the Land Trust aligned nicely with the values of the library. We both aim to inspire curiosity, learning and discovery, community involvement. Programming is important to both organizations to promote lifelong learning and personal enrichment in a variety of different settings. One last little tidbit here is the staircase that is intended to lead from the Atwater Library complex to the trail system. I think it would help not only the Land Trust, it would help the library, it would help the Tutucket Historical Society, develop more community programming. I think educational outreach is important to both of us. It would also help us utilize that property in a more intentional manner for all three organizations. I do think the idea of marrying town-owned property, public space with the town's natural resources will create greater opportunity for outdoor learning and outdoor recreation. So I fully support this project, even though it's not directly related to the library. I also have a letter of support from Mary Ellen DeLella, who is a co-chair or a co-president of the Historical Society that I can read for her as well. It really is intended to be a collaborative project, investing the time of 3 different departments working together. So if you want me to read it, I am happy to.
Sure, it was pretty brief.
It was pretty brief. I can certainly hand it in so you guys can read it afterwards. It's up to you. Go ahead.
And Mike.
What's that? Go ahead. Okay. So this is from Mary Ellen DeLella. She cannot be here tonight, so I'm going to hopefully represent her well. Over the past 2 years, the Tutucket Historical Society, the NB Libraries, and the North Branford Land Trust have collaborated on many projects to provide quality educational programs for our community. Together, we have participated in outdoor classrooms, specific North Branford days, story walks, hikes, as well as our community barn dance, the kickoff to our summer reading program. That included a Harrison Preserve hike, walking tour of North Street, visits to the Tutucket Historical Society facilities, and fun learning activities. The Tutucket Historical Society believes the proposed North Branford Library's nonprofit ARPA grant will serve our community well. Being able to access the Harrison Preserve from the Atwater Library parking lot allows us to meet up with our young historians and their families at our facility and provide both indoor and outdoor expanded educational experiences. Students will have the opportunity to observe nature as they enjoy the trails, then return to the Atwater Library Reynolds Beers House or the Gordon Miller Barn to research flora, fauna, or history on the Harrison Farm, Lake Villard, and beyond. Long-term visual literacy activities will enhance their understanding of the past. Our young historians will be encouraged to share their findings at various community events. Thank you for considering the North Branford Library's nonprofit ARPA request for the Starry Lane project. This project will support the Historical Society mission of teaching, preserving, and building community. Any questions?
It's 10,000, right?
10,000.
10,000. I think the broken up budget would be roughly $2,000 for a kiosk and $8,000 to actually build the staircase, depending on materials and amount of steps needed. That was a number I received from the Land Trust. So I don't want you to think that I haven't been in conversation and discussion with them. So they are fully aware of this proposal.
And the Land Trust is the one that would be doing the trail, making the trail. They are not asking like Public Works or anything to do it. It's the Land Trust that is.
As far as I know, it is fully on them to see
do the,
through.
okay.
Is there a plan? It's like drawings?
I do not have them, and I believe the Land Trust.
There is
later
on in the agenda, because the second part of this is once they secure funding, they need to ask permission to use town land for the trail. So that's a separate agenda item later on. And they did provide some drawings. It was just what the town manager asked. It wasn't in detail because it was just the concept of it. And then they can get into it later as to once they secured funding and everything else.
So with the stairs, is there any required ADA compliance?
From what the Land Trust has said, because of, like all of their trails being out in nature and everything, they've looked up, there are no requirements for
Yeah, I'm just asking the
for
question, 'cause that's
ADA
pretty important.
requirements, because a lot of it goes with the terrain, and it's hard to make that ADA compliant. So they did look up to see if there was anything set in like the state and stuff like that, and they could not find anything that stipulates that.
Can we ask our town attorney to just double check that because it's coming off of a town property?
Well, I will tell you that the North Farms Park is town property, and all of those trails that are there are not ADA compliant.
Right, but the reason why I'm asking is we're saying we're gonna put stairs in, and that's or like to me is a red flag that we should just double check it. I don't think it can hurt, just so we don't find ourselves in a violation of some sort.
We can approve it now, just pending the town attorney's.
Well, the whole design of it would have to come later. As to how, because it all depends on, I know on different trails, if you hike any of the land now, whether it's at North Farms or any of the Land Trust things, their steps some of them could be stones, some of them could be that they actually had built them in. A lot of it depends on the terrain.
I know they had Mission pressure treated wood too. I don't think they're set on anything. They're exploring all their options. But.
Right. So, is there a motion to approve the $10,000 request?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Yes, so let me just get, are we gonna ask our town attorney to look at this?
Let me amend my motion then. Motion as discussed with the approval of the town attorney reviewing ADA compliance.
And just one question for you, are these stairs going to be entirely on town property?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the trail that they need to put in to reach the Harrison Family Preserve I believe that is all town property. Before we look at the map that's in our packet, I believe that's all town property until we get to the Harrison Preserve.
I think the stairs will be all on town property,
Yeah.
leading to the easement that the Kubler family granted the land trust so that they can have access.
Oh, okay, so there's an easement in there, okay.
Yeah. But I believe that's all still land trust property, the easement, but the stairs itself will be all on
The town property.
All right, we'll look at that. Thank you.
Okay.
So when he looks into it, if he does find that we need that, maybe there's a way we can like draw the path out farther where we don't need the steps, where it can just be like an ongoing.
Well, in some areas you may need a few stairs because of, I mean, the design that they have now does have kind of like a switchback to go around. It's not just straight up.
Well, there may be a workaround, whereas the access, the current access may become the ADA access and the stairs non-ADA.
Right, so that the
You
access.
know what I mean?
The access
I
is
think-
coming right from the parking lot.
Right.
What is the elevation? Does anyone know, if I may inquire?
Looks like it goes up pretty good in this thing here.
I don't know how to read all the contours on the map, but.
The elevation for the stairs I'm talking, not the trail itself, but just how many steps do they give?
I don't know that has all been worked out as far as the exact number
This
of.
little sketch is, it's kind of showing a lot, but you can't really tell. It does show a lot of steps.
I think that was to indicate that that's where they would put stairs, but I don't know.
And not to overcomplicate things, but you said that there's an easement? So we have that in writing and,
Right, I believe the land trust has all that.
so the easement's with the land trust?
Right.
Well, it's not, because it's not town property where they have the easement. The easement is with another property owner before the Harrison Family Preserve. Right, isn't it between the town property and the Harrison Family Preserve?
Yes, I believe,
I just want to make sure the easement, I'm sorry, but I just want to make sure the easement is legally defined and we have it
yes,
in writing.
there was
Okay.
a sale of the property, and prior to the full sale, I think part of it was broken off, and the easement was granted. This was even like a year or two ago. This is not something recent. Prior to the sale of the property on North Street, the Mrs. Kubler.
Okay, I just don't want to put in stairs to nowhere if they decide to
Sure,
not
yeah.
let us go through.
No, I mean, I'm happy to, get all those answers, but,
If I can inquire one more thing, on this drawing, it looks like there's 3 sets of stairs at least. Are we talking about just the stairs for the 10,000 being installed adjacent to the parking lot, and then some other elevation or natural stairs on the 2 S turns?
Well,
No, I don't know.
I think you're talking that whole path.
it's hard to say because they just were told they needed to draw where they thought the trail would go. And I think they just indicated areas where there may need to be stairs, but they don't know at this point, because they haven't gotten into like how many stairs they would need in there, the exact design of it. But that, they just had to mark out a rough idea of where the path would go, the trail to get there. So that's what that is. It's not the final design.
So, but where does our property end, Warren, on this drawing?
I think right at the end of the parking lot is where that property.
I don't have a copy of the map you're looking at.
But
Here, Lauren.
is it just the initial set of stairs, I think is, Brian, what you're asking, right?
But you would need it on.
Yeah, because there's about, if you look, I did quick math, you've got about a 40-foot elevation change over the entire area. You're going from an elevation 90 something, 98 to elevation 140.
No, I think it's just.
So that's about
this
42
first
feet of
piece.
height.
I don't think.
According to what's drawn, but I can't tell looking at this, they're not, it's not to scale.
The number I was originally
They
given
all may-
was
they may all be on town property, I think.
1224. So I don't think it's gonna be, that staggered look that you have on your map. But-
Typically don't have 24 straight stairs together. So they may have thought of there was at least 2 tiers, because you wouldn't typically have that much of a stretch.
And I'm, also, if you want to start with that first set, because that initial steep bank, I
Yeah.
think is the most difficult part to get to, and then it kind of levels off. So it doesn't have to be as elaborate as that line. You can always do it so you can get up that first steep hill.
Well, you have a 20-foot elevation drop in almost the same distance as that first steep hill as you described it, so you have to look at this carefully. The last S up here, you're going from 120 to 140 right there alone, one little section. That's pretty steep. And that's in a distance of, how many feet? That's a distance of 20 feet.
But that
In about
might
40
be once
feet,
you
you go
get
40.
into land trust property.
Up here?
Right, that second row there. That might be
I don't know,
beyond
because you go.
town property.
Yeah, I believe that would be correct. That'd be outside of town property.
Right, I don't think.
I think the easement is right on right past that 108 elevation.
So basically, tonight we can give the 10,000 on the grounds that we don't have to put an ADA requirement on.
Yeah, the town
That's
attorney's
right.
gonna
I'll look at it. I'll
Yeah.
talk to engineering as well.
And kind of the out is if it doesn't work,
Yeah.
we pull it back,
Let's go, yeah.
we claw it back.
Okay, so did we're still discussing? Okay,
You have a second?
yes. Yep. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. And the second item on here is the STW grounds improvement. So the original request is for approximately $450,000. Jesse has updated that on page 2 for the grounds improvements, and gave us some updated project costs in regards to this. So I know Carrie's here tonight to address some of this, because Jesse couldn't be here,
Yeah.
so.
So Jessie couldn't be here tonight. As Rose had said, she, our original project proposal was quite a bit. But Jessie has broken it out, piecemealed it pretty much into a couple separate pieces. And the piece that we're focusing on is the pavilion for the STW Community Center. The price that she received, the quote as of October of '23, was $189,000. It's actually $189,700 for the pavilion itself. Well, that's the pavilion and the groundwork, the installation and the cement.
This is as of October?
And the other thing that she would need to go along with that is the site amenities, including tables and trash receptacles for $20,000, because that would be the picnic tables to go underneath the pavilion to use. And they are looking at the picnic tables that are made out of like the Trex material. So they have a longer shelf life, or not shelf life, a longer use than wood ones, and they're ADA, they have to be ADA compliant also, some of them, so that they meet that need.
So you're asking for 187.7?
Plus 20.
Plus 20 for the,
190. So it's roughly 190 plus 20, so 210.
210 would be the cost.
so that would cover any unforeseen expenditures?
Well, the 20 would be for the picnic tables and trash receptacles. There's no
Worry about that.
contingency.
Worry about the construction costs.
So So no, there's no contingency with that, as far as I understand.
Correct, that's what she had said.
Yep.
And she did look into a wood pavilion with shingles rather than
The metal.
the metal.
It's about a $6,000 savings to go with a wood structure, but it doesn't come with the 25-year warranty.
And you're gonna be constantly dealing
What,
with.
so, I get that. My concern is the more right now, because this is as of October. We're now in January. This isn't gonna happen until March or April,
Potentially.
so you're 6 months out. So can we include an additional, and then if they don't spend it, return it?
I think that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, of course. Well, we have had to, other projects that we've done, they've come back multiple times for more money because of that. So that is a great suggestion there.
So they're looking for the picnic tables to be a Trex type composite material?
Correct.
Can we ask everybody to kick up their recycling of plastic so that we can get some free tables?
Or drink more nips.
So if you have any nips,
Either
grab
way.
them, drink.
Either way, that's very resourceful.
So what would be your proposed number?
We're at 210?
210.
Well, can I just add one thing?
Sure.
Because there's a sidewalk on here for 80,000 too, so if we're gonna build a pavilion, we wanna make sure people can get to it. Does that need to be included in the price too, or no?
Can it be included in the price? Absolutely.
Does it need to be?
Does it need to be? Eventually, yes.
So then,
That would be another phase of it.
Well, there also is money that they were looking at in the parks maintenance account that they have put money into over the years, that they would be willing to look at that, to use some of that money to put in, to go towards the sidewalks, because that would tie into the grant that she is applying for as far as the town's cost are of using that. So whether we used appropriated ARPA funds or they used the other park maintenance account funds, it could go towards the cost of
I
that.
mean, it's a pretty expensive pavilion. I support it, but the whole idea was to help the elderly have someplace to go and stuff too. And if we don't have a nice smooth service for them to get back and forth, what are we doing?
It'll be an island we can't get to.
Right, so I think that's something that we need to consider.
Where are they putting it?
Just wait, Franny has a comment.
There was also talk, I was thinking about the apron, so go down to it. right?
Well, that's what I'm just saying,
Yeah.
there is no ramp to get to the pavilion. So you need to create something, and the other part of the sidewalk is in front of the pickleball courts. That's what I think.
That's the bulk, yes.
You're absolutely right. So it was
To try to use for the grant money.
Right.
If you did that, it kind of helps that grant, but that did not include a ramp going down to the pavilion.
The 80,000 did not?
Well, now, the 80,000 is the sidewalk in front of the pickleball courts and going over to the pavilion. Having a ramp making it ADA compliant, so there would be a ramp on one end so that you could, and then they were also,
That would be down the farther.
the farther end towards the
firehouse side.
right,
That ramp would.
right.
bocce courts are?
Yes, that's where the ramp would go, and then the sidewalks would go in front of the pickleball courts over to the pavilion.
I just think if we're gonna do it, we should do it right and just approve the
So add
sidewalk.
the
I
other
mean,
80.
you need to have that sidewalk
Make it
there.
300, and whatever you don't spend has to be considered, has to be returned. But it would have to, you'd have to watch it. You can't, I'm not doing a blank check for 300,000.
No, and I think it's money well spent. There is no shade at that building, so, and it's a structure that would be used pretty much year-round by not only our seniors, but also our summer camp, our after-school programs, and then, it's also a source of revenue. We could use it for party rentals on the weekends as well.
And also, that also included stairs.
Correct, in the center.
In the center going, and I think optionality for some
It includes the maintenance on the field getting restructured.
So when you ran
No.
out the pavilions, what is it? Like, how much do you make? I don't need to-
$150 per party.
Off the field.
No, we're
So
going to
take
do that.
forever.
in our budget.
And then there's,
I was just trying to put a
I'm sorry, guys, I just want to make sure I
Yeah.
understand how it's. And then there's the flipping of the field too, right?
Yeah, which.
Right, so the 50,000 for flipping of the field, we were going to address that in our capital budget, when we do our budget in April.
Do we have is there all plans for this pavilion? Is there actually pictures of what it's gonna look like, the design and everything?
Yeah, it was presented to you last budget season and still holds to the same design. So it'll be the same shape, same square.
Those are, we can find those online, those are,
Yeah, basically, you can see the real versions. There's one in North Farms, there's one in.
so it's the same as what we have
It's-
already?
It's
Except
gonna
for
be
nicer
virtually
because-
the same footprint as the two that are in our parks right now, which are, what, 30 by 60?
Did you guys remove the decorative columns?
Yes, that's not included in there.
Okay. So if we add in the 80, now we're talking 290?
Right, so that's like we said.
300, whatever they don't spend needs to be returned.
Mike, the reason I was asking too is, I mean, I think of, some pavilions are 4x4s and 2x6s, and they're kind of 20, 30-year pavilions, or is this going to be a nice pavilion? I mean,
Same as the ones that we have.
It's actually gonna be
same
a
as
metal,
the ones we have?
it's
Which I've
gonna be
never
slightly
seen.
nicer
They're not
than what we have.
Well, yeah, I'm saying the same footprint though.
Yeah.
It's like conceptually,
But material-wise,
it'll be new and it will be metal and it will probably last longer. So I was just saying conceptually, if you wanted to see what it would be structure-wise, it's like the ones they have in the parks, which are functional. They're good.
It's nothing like the ones we have in the parks right now.
it's the same
Size.
size.
I'm talking about
The
size.
size
It's the
one.
same
No,
size.
I mean, I'm talking the construction, like, what's it like?
It's a steel structure with a metal roof.
It's a steel pavilion?
No.
Yes.
Probably be like
All steel. It's not wood.
Yeah.
Correct.
Size, I think it's the size of North Park, North Park are the same size.
Yeah.
Those are wood, those are made by.
you give it to them, they're going to spend it, so.
Right, and so the cost for a wood one was about $7,000 cheaper.
Right.
So I would,
Sorry.
So the pavilions up, don't go look at those pavilions, because that's not what it looks like, right?
Well, just want the size.
I'm talking about size.
The construction.
Scope of it. Yeah, no. It's a metal building versus a wood building, but if you want to get an idea what size, I mean, it's a pavilion, so there's not a whole heck of a lot. It's metal and it kind of looks the same. It's not really that much different. It's columns and it has a roof. There's no
Doesn't it have to have some
sides on
electricity
it.
too?
But yes, it's different materials, size-wise.
Well, the reason I'm asking is for a $180,000 pavilion, it should be a very nice pavilion.
does anyone know the
That's what
quality
I'm
of it?
saying, I would say.
I agree.
I believe that this pavilion is similar to the one, if you're familiar with the one that's in Hamden, near it was the golf course, they have a pavilion by the library.
Oh, in the back there, yeah.
Nice.
Can I ask a question? Don't you need electricity to have lighting or something too?
Yes, if we wanted to have lighting, we would need electricity, and I'm going to defer to Fran on that.
We did figure back in time, it's not very possible.
They're gonna put conduit underneath so that they could add electricity later on if they wanted to, but the conduit would be there so that they could do that.
So the end of the day, the pavilions in North, I don't want to talk them down, because those were built by kids and they've been there for years. But this is a different structure, it's all steel, and it's beefed up. But so are those two pavilions there, those pavilions have been there since the 80s. And Rotary built it for us through the tech school.
And that conduit and everything's included in the 190 price?
The conduit is, but not the wiring, we didn't figure the wiring, we weren't really sure, but we just bring it, because if we're doing
Yeah.
sidewalks, we gotta get the conduit there. So that was included.
So I would suggest if we're gonna make a motion to approve a dollar amount, there should be an itemized list of what that dollar amount is to cover.
So it would from the discussion, it would cover the shelter at $189,755, the site amenities, including tables, trash receptacles for $20,000, and it says here sidewalk $80,000. And that was based on Public Works pricing, according to her updated. So those are the three items.
Right. The reason why I say that is when we say, well, this much money and what you don't use to give back, well, if we don't, we have to know what's going to be happen, right? What's going to take place, so we know what the dollars were spent on. I think that's fair.
I didn't touch it.
So,
I like it, though.
basically, it sounds like now we're talking about using, what, 300,000 of what's left with our ARPA money, right?
Correct. Correct.
So of our 700, this 300 is going towards.
Right, so we have about 400. So it's
So can we actually put in there that you would have to come back as the being built with the actual costs? So we would actually know
Yeah.
on those three items.
Yeah, we'll get an update on the
It would
ARPA
have to be
funding.
in there that we'd have to get the updates.
Yeah.
Yep.
The sidewalk could be put in by public. You have to log in every picture from the site developer to look at it.
Would the sidewalk be put
I'm
on
only
the
holding
public
it
works, or
because
is that
it'll
just
take
the
out.
pricing
Yeah.
for the contractor?
So is that roughly the size of it too?
We can ask her.
My understanding, yes.
Mr. Trina, I'd like to see it too.
And then we believe we picked the color scheme to match the current ones.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
So Franny, on here it said 800,000 for the sidewalk, and it said approximate, it's based on Public Work pricing, so you just helped her with the pricing, or are you doing the job?
We're doing part of the work,
Okay,
which is gonna count toward
the other grant,
the other grant, yeah.
okay,
Some is pouring it, but we're doing some of the prep work.
okay.
Put the bottom of it.
Down there. And that also included the concrete, not the 80,000, but the price of the pavilion was including the concrete.
Correct,
Like I say.
correct. Okay,
If we were to vote on this tonight, what's the anticipated start and finish date?
The company that Jesse's been working with said that he is pretty booked up, but he was hopeful that he would be able to fit us in, I believe he said mid-April.
Okay, so
It
it'll be
is
utilized for the
potentially-
summer.
It is potentially something that we could get up before the summer.
Great. Thank you.
okay. So does someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
No, you just.
All right, I make a motion to appropriate 300,000 for the STW grounds improvement. Want me to read all this out here?
For the shelter?
Summary for shelter, 189,755. Updated quote as of October 2023. Shelter decorative.
No,
Sorry, we don't have that. Sorry, relocation of.
Nope, site amenities.
No. Yes, site amenities, including tables, trash receptacles, 20,000. Sidewalk, 80,000, approximately based on Public Works pricing.
For a total of 300,000.
For a total of 300K.
Okay, so the motion has been made by Deputy Mayor McMillan, seconded by Councilor Abelson, to appropriate 300,000 from ARPA funding for the shelter, the site amenities, and the sidewalk. So I guess, any other discussion? We're good? Okay.
Does that include the grand opening picnic?
Includes one.
You're gonna do a grand opening picnic for the council, right?
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
I think we're gonna have that summer birthday party.
Yeah. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained?
I abstain.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Okay,
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
So when we have things come before us, we should be asking for the complete package. Even though we saw it 6 months ago, 3 months ago, 1 month ago, it's kind of difficult, you know. We all know what we want, and you know, and I think it's kind of important that we can have it right there in front of us, refresh our memories, you know. It just helps us make our decision, I think.
That's a good point.
You know, and speed things along probably too.
That's kind of why I was asking to see the pictures and stuff, because we just kind of agreed on all this stuff here, and it was just, you know.
Even if it's just an overhead, you know, an overhead presentation of the final product, right?
Okay, so I also see in here an update from the Public Works for ARPA. But it's more than just your building. I see light towers and message board and security cameras, fuel master upgrade. Is this all new? Because I don't think we had this, but I know the building just came up last time. Did you want to address? Pardon me?
The security was in there before.
Okay.
And the fuel master, that's the fuel depot for everybody.
Okay.
We have the building too, we're talking about doing, right?
Well, that.
With the building, so we're down to how much with the ARPA now? We're down to 400,000.
358, 531.
So that's what's left.
We're gonna get rid of it anyway, it's gonna get called back. At some point, we have to.
No, I'm saying, basically for Fran, we already kind of approved, like, getting the ball rolling for Franny's building. So all that is left is 398. So basically, that's what's left for the building.
Well, the issue becomes on the building, once we have more information, is we know we don't have enough funding to fund the complete building, so we have to have the discussion of how are we going to fund the balance. Is it through capital? Is it over a certain period of time? Are we bonding money? Those are all questions that we have to think about and have to discuss before we, because if we commit to the ARPA money, we have to know that then we're kind of stuck with the project and we have to move forward with it, and how are we going to do that?
We can take the rest and put it into the 2031 fund, whatever it is.
The 1831?
1831 fund, there he is.
Well, no, you have to spend it by 26.
I'm sorry, what's the amount left, Anthony?
358, 531.
We have to spend it by 26?
Yeah, that's gotta be.
Yeah.
Oh, if we can't put it in the account for a few.
Get rid of it.
That's it. So that's why we have to, you know, it's a great idea, it's a great plan, but there's more to it than just, well, let's put it all to Franny's building, because Franny's building is gonna be more than that. And then how are we going to finance that? Or pay for it? And what the time frame is, which, you know, that.
We'll know better on Monday.
Well, that's fine, and that's, we can discuss it at the, yeah, we can discuss it at the February meeting, and
They were gonna tell me.
see once, Franny will have more information at that time, in regards to it. I mean, if you want, we can talk about the security camera system and the fuel master upgrade, the light tower and the message board. Those are all, you know, you were talking about 50, 67, about $100,000 between those three items right there. Or we just hold off on everything and we wait until February and discuss it then.
Franny's gonna know numbers. Franny's gonna know numbers better in February. So
Correct.
why don't we?
That's fine, we can wait. Not a problem. Okay, so is there anything else under ARPA that anyone wants to talk about? No? Okay, then we're gonna move on to contingency transfers. Okay, the first one is the Near Map annual subscription. So there's a contingency transfer for $7,500 for the new map annual subscription.
Thank you.
That's what music should play.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion for the near map. I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses, I can't see tonight, so I'm making a motion for the near map
Annual subscription.
annual subscription.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion was made by Counselor Abelson, seconded by Counselor Miller. Discussion?
It's not good for the base. Gotta give it a shot.
Okay. All right. Can we take a roll call vote?
Can hold on a second? So, we're gonna vote on a one-year subscription, right?
Correct. This is
So-
an annual.
Right, so
Yep.
then, if it passes, and then next year, does it go through a vote again?
Not unless, if he puts it in his budget, no, right?
The reason why I'm asking is, shouldn't we see what the
Return on
benefit,
it,
the
the
return
benefit,
of
yeah.
investment was? I mean, I think that would be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
so we
give an
can
update.
take it, I mean, if we vote and it passes, we can take it for a year.
Yeah.
So that my,
And
if we
reevaluate
start
it.
it, when would this start? It would be off the fiscal year, correct? It wouldn't coincide with the fiscal year, or would it coincide with the fiscal year?
It would not coincide.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And we'll have to make sure that there's a, in the contract we sign, we'll have to review it to make sure there's non-appropriation language in the
Right.
event, so that this does not automatically obligate the town to pay subsequent years. There's, especially if you don't appropriate the money, because you can't do that unless you have, you need to have non-appropriation language, or you need to appropriate for future years.
Okay.
So we can protect you that way in the agreement by having that kind of a language, that this is a 1 year. So if you're funding it now, no matter when it ends, it may be off the budget year, but, we could deal with that.
Well,
If
I
you don't
mean,
approve
being
the
off the budget year is actually is better, because we would have time to evaluate it and see cost benefit analysis, and then work it into the next budget if we so decided that we wanted to move forward and keep it going on there. I mean, that's the way I look at it, is because it would be off year.
I think to Tommy's point, we should put the town on notice now that before we approve it again next year, we're gonna wanna see, we're gonna wanna see it broken down as to, previous years prior to it, and then the benefit of having it for that 1 year, so.
Maybe you can give us updates.
Yeah, and like an update, like, hey, your guys' opinion too.
I would love to give you a
Worthwhile?
detailed
Was it
update
not?
next year. I'd love to give you a detailed update next year.
Yeah.
Look forward to that.
How about,
Because
how about a
that would
detailed,
benefit all of us, the town employee,
Yeah.
Mike's group.
As
Understood.
As
How about
opposed to us just
halfway through?
approving it tonight and then forgetting about it with
Right.
everything else, and now it just,
how about an update sooner than that? Like in 6 months?
I'd love to,
You know,
sure.
come in and show us some progress.
That's
what
enough
you did.
time to get something together for you guys.
At least that way we have an idea if it's working or not.
That'd be perfect.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, roll call, please.
Mayor Angeloni?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McMillan?
No.
Counselor Abelson?
Yes.
Counselor Diamond?
Yes.
Counselor Gold?
Yes.
Counselor Miller?
Yes.
Counselor Palladino?
yes.
Counselor Palacio?
Yes.
Counselor Zampano?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. All right, the next one is for reevaluation. So, this is, even though we approved it, the contract for $90,000, this is for $25,000 out of contingency for this year, out of this year's contingency, and then the balance will work into our budget for the 24-25. So do I have a motion?
Want me to read what's in here?
Sure.
That the town manager is hereby authorized to appropriate from reserve for contingency account 1,000,000,98,90,00,40,40,59510,000,000.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Okay, motion carries. All right, next is financial report, 12/31/23.
The only item of note is a similar one that I've discussed previously, recurring from last year. If you remember, we had an issue with the MBIS fuel tank generator. It's an emergency shelter. It's on the town's responsibility. And last year there were some issues. We had to drain the tank and put clean fuel in, and it was a kind of an expensive situation. Well, you see on the emergency management, the budget this year, again, we're 158%. And there's some additional issues over there. They had to put a load of kerosene into it to kind of reduce the viscosity so that the fuel wouldn't gel up. I did talk to John Florio about it, the Board of Ed Maintenance, and that's just the way it is. We're going to try to run it more frequently so that it doesn't get as gummed up. Aside from that item, there's no other departments that are overexpended. Revenue side remains pretty much intact. Nothing else significant to report.
All right, thank you. All right, approval of tax refunds. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Motion was made by Deputy Mayor McMillan, seconded by Councilor Palladino. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. The next is application from All the King's Horses for ARPA nonprofit organization funding.
I'm here from the organization to answer any questions.
And your name, please?
Mary Santagata, I'm the founder.
Okay.
Tell us a little about it.
We've actually been established for 14 years now in North Branford, and we save abused and neglected equines. We work with state animal control, the Department of Agriculture, and most of our horses come from owner surrenders in the state of Connecticut. And we also, we have a big program now saving wild horses off of our public lands. So, and we'll also take horses that are auction bound for slaughter. Yeah, and we recently, 2 years ago, we have partnered with Soul Friends. They're out of Wallingford, so their therapists now come to our farm in Norford, and we provide equine-assisted psychotherapy. Yeah.
Where's that located?
We're right on the Ferrara property we lease, 630 Forest Road.
Yeah, 22 there.
Right under the barn.
Do you guys have any open times ever where you could come by and see the horses?
Yeah, I mean, you could email me anytime and we can make an appointment. See, I work full-time, and we all work full-time there, so there's not always somebody there. But yeah, we're gonna be doing a big open house in a couple months, but you're welcome to come anytime if you set up an appointment.
That's great. So if this is approved, what will you be using the money for?
We've been struggling the last 2 years especially, and we're very grateful. The pages that are right on Tucket, they have given us hay and allowed us to owe them. So we are finally up to date with our payments. So this is for basic general care. It would be for hay to feed the horses, and it would be put right back into North Branford by the pages.
And how long would this last?
A full tractor trailer load normally lasts about 4 months for us.
I'll make
How
a motion
much?
to approve it.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry, we're probably asking the same question. How much is a full tractor trailer for?
They're a little over 600 bales of hay, and hay now has gone up to $9 a bale. It's pretty expensive. Everything has increased drastically. A bag of grain is over $30 now.
Can I make a motion to approve it?
Second.
Okay, so the funding request was for $6,300. So the motion's been made by Councilor Goode, seconded by Councilor Miller. Discussion?
Well, here, I was just kind of, the person who made the motion, Mr. Goode, there's not been a lot of nonprofits that kind of stepped up for this. I can...
Well, the problem is we just put it out, and it said that funding was starting February 1st.
Okay, all right. I was gonna say we...
So she can always come back if
Yeah. So the only thing that I'll mention, and I love your program and stuff, but we also have to be fiscally responsible with the small amount of money that we have, $50,000. We don't know what's going to come down the road. I would suggest maybe rounding it off to 5,000, because if we did 5,000, then, you know, it leaves room. It doesn't mean that we have to stop there either. We can also wait and see what else comes in, and then we can also revisit your.
You don't have to apply again.
You wouldn't have to apply again or anything, but if we have a lack of people applying, do we have a cutoff date, Mike?
We didn't put a cutoff date. I mean, I think the idea behind it is that you have a finite amount of money and then you'll have rolling applications that once it's gone, it's gone. I do have one other application that's gonna be before you in February. They're in court order, just like All King's Horses was. And I'm aware of one other that's intending to apply. That's what I've got at this point. But of course, it just really went out.
I mean, if we don't get the applications, we can always revisit and allocate additional money later on too, so.
Right.
Just a suggestion,
I'll change my motion. That sounds like a good idea, Ron, to $5,000.
I was gonna round in the other direction. I thought that it was, you know, I thought it was a worthy cost.
I do too. I thought it was
Looking
very
at
well written,
the
too.
cost of grain,
Thank you.
cost of hay, $9 a bale.
Yeah,
You have to take into account
$30,000
inflation and
last
oil
year,
and
hay.
taking that, you know, having the machines out there to get that hay going, so it makes sense. I mean, my thought was instantly go up a little bit more than that, but.
But what was the time frame?
Well, it said funding would start February 1st, so they could apply now.
Right.
Okay, there is no end date
Okay.
to it according to what was put on there. So, I mean, I agree with Ron because it just started. We don't know what's going
We
to
could
come
always
in.
give more, right?
Right, and the application is in, so they wouldn't have to apply again. So we could always come back, like after 5 months, 6 months, if we don't have any more applications, we can go back to the ones that have come in.
Right, but
and recess.
when you said funding would begin in February, does that mean that if a handful of people applied and they were applying for more money than we had, we'd have to select, right?
Yeah.
Of some sort, we'd have to make a decision. So shouldn't we, I don't know, I'm asking a question. Should we, you know, accept the application, but then there won't be a payout, there won't be money available till February, right? Is that?
I
That's
just read
kind of
what was
what
on
my question is.
on the application, that, I believe that was in the application, right? February 1st is when,
That was the presumption. Not do it as a first come, first served?
Yeah, that's,
Kind of thing?
all of the same.
It's not like wait for everybody to put in their applications. Whoever puts their application in, we have to sit there and do this. So it's not like, let's wait for everybody to
Okay, so
apply.
that's all I'm asking. I want to make sure we
I'd like to keep my
don't violate
motion
our own
for
little rule.
$5,000 towards this.
I'm gonna ask a quick question, if it's okay.
I think you should have a second on that, just to keep it proceeding.
there was a second,
On the 5,000?
Yeah, we're in discussion.
Um,
Wasn't there a second?
yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So before we cut it down to 5,000, in my opinion, I'd like to know, why did you choose 6,300? There must be a reason. That seems a specific number. It's not.
Well, that's what the entire tractor trailer costs.
Okay.
So we, Danny Page, he cuts local, but
Yeah.
the hay goes quickly. So obviously we haven't cut yet for this year. So he's getting his hay from upstate New York right now. So
Okay.
he'll send up a tractor trailer to upstate New York, and that's the cost for all of it.
Gotcha, okay. So with the 5,000, you'd have a portion of that, but you'd have to find
Yes.
now another 1,300 to get that whole tractor trailer.
Well, she also mentioned that Pages has been very generous and kind of lets them charge and then you can pay off, correct? So would they do the same thing if you got another trailer?
Yes,
A pay,
they're
that
friendly, yes.
that would still go on?
I mean, logically, if we're gonna approve this, we should be approving the truck, 6,300.
That's right.
I mean, this doesn't make any sense to, I can't make sense out of reducing it.
So I think, what Jeff has said is go up a little bit. 6,300 is not like a round number. And the problem that we're gonna have is down the road, we are gonna have a problem down the road if people apply. Because the last person who applies and they come in, it's like, well, there's only $200 left.
243 cents.
Right.
That's $200 they didn't have.
Get there early, man. never buy tickets to an
I would
event.
say, and I thought we actually put amounts to this that they can apply for, not
No, we
specific.
didn't. No. We talked about that, but
So
we
we
did
didn't
not.
cap it at all?
No.
But what happens if we get a lot more people that apply? And then this is a great story, and I'm glad we're gonna help you and want to help you with this. But- Yeah, but
We also have some more
we're also
money, but
gonna,
it's-
somebody else might come, we might go, oh God, we gotta help them. So, like Rose is saying, if we agree with the 5,000 now, it isn't like that's it, we could always add more. But, what if there's 20 other great stories and 20 other great organizations that need our help? And now we're gonna be like, oh, well, sorry you didn't get it in, and, we really wish we could help you, but it's gone. Like the 5,000 isn't just the 5 right now. It could turn into more, but
That's 10% of the total funding.
Yeah.
True. And again, I love that program. I love driving by.
I love seeing that horse.
I go upstate New York, I ride horses with my family. I love horses. Even though one threw me in Aruba into a big pricker bush, but that's another story. But,
I work midnights, and the only two on the street is me and that horse. So I'm looking at the horse,
But just keep that in mind, and, I'm open to suggestions.
We are grateful for anything.
So Jeff, what was
I
the figure
appreciate
that you were
this.
asking for? Initially, after thinking through this, I would suggest we do the truckload, take care of that, which would be 6,300, but that's my opinion.
The only other suggestion I'll make is that maybe the next posting you put out, if you put another posting out, we do put an end date on it. So that then we can actually say, okay, we'll go back, see where we stand, and then revisit organizations like this.
I think that's a great point. I mean, I think if we start to see maybe for February's meeting, if they're not coming in like we thought they were, maybe we get like just a handful, then maybe the council decides you want to set a termination date, like, end of March or something, so that way you can have it cut off.
I think that'd be good. I think it would make it much easier for us rather than just constantly having that dangling out there.
You should have it line items where, the reality, if we were to do this the proper way up front, we would have had them all come in at once, all speak to what they were doing, and then appropriate the total dollar amount, dole it out, essentially chop up the pie. And this gets this, it's at that versus what they're requesting. But we're not doing that, we're taking it in, for instance, so that's a different precedent. That's here's the coffers. If you get there first before it's depleted, then you get what you asked for, or possibly not. But it's a different way of going about it.
I like the end of March. I actually had an April 1st date kind of in my head. I think that's fair, and then whatever comes in, if we don't have the full 50 spent, then we can go back to the people that already applied, and we can allocate more money and disperse the rest of it. It just seems cleaner, and then it's after that date, we can finalize it, and then we can move on to a million other things that we deal with.
That sounds good. Do you want to do that like February, make the decision, just to see what comes in between now and the February meeting?
If that's what everybody else is okay with, sure.
Well, I would think that we would want a notice to go out ASAP, saying,
Yeah, that's true. We'd have to put
have your
Next meeting is on February 20th. So let's say you don't get
February?
Yeah. Next council meeting.
Okay.
So hypothetically, you get 3 or 4. It's not what you thought you were going to get, right? Then you can say at that meeting, we want it at the end of March, be the deadline. You're giving everybody a month. We'll get the notice out right away. It could be end of March, beginning of April, like you said. That'll give you a month to get people motivated to get it into you.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm for that.
hey, Mike, if they're not motivated to get it into us, then they don't need it.
Right.
So what
That
happens?
was really, I think, the thinking at the offset of this, which is that, they would see this opportunity and they'd want to get in on it first because you have a finite pool, and they would want to get in first so they get the most.
Okay, so the motion is for $5,000 to pay from the ARPA nonprofit fund. It's made by Councilor Goad, second by Councilor Miller. We've had discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Great job.
Yeah.
Okay. The last item on the agenda, under new business, is request of the North Branford Land Conservation Trust for trail access from the Atwater Library property. So this is the second part of the ARPA funding, is in order to have the trail be put in, we need to give them permission to use town land for the trail.
Do we have language for this? Can I just make a motion?
What's the attorney thinking of all this?
Well, we'll put in that motion stipulating review by town attorney.
Well, I guess the question is, are they just asking permission as opposed
Correct.
to a permanent easement or anything?
Correct, they're just asking permission
They need permission for us, from the council, so they can go and build theirs.
to put the trail in, yes.
Trail.
So it's permission to put the trail in. And to use town.
That is a permanent easement, isn't it?
Not necessarily. I mean, it could be a license. We have a number of ways we can approach it. One is just give them permission to do it. We may want to address liability issues as well. If someone gets hurt on that trail, they're going to have insurance.
According to
they'll
the
be fine.
state, there is no liability to the town, private residents, or any other land that is used for recreational purposes. Because they deal with this all the time.
Yeah,
We
I
have
want to look
trails
closer.
on
Yeah.
town property at North Farms Park. So there must be something for that, because those trails have been there for a long time.
Yeah, I just want to look at the steer issue, what they're building here, what they're constructing, and we can.
Right, but it's not town, the only part that's town property is the access that's being asked for, right, from the library.
Yeah, literally the staircase.
To the,
Yeah.
so, right, that's town property.
I do think Brian should spend a little time.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
We have to look at that because I'm not sure that that's not all town property. Because if you look at the little map on the inset here, the property line looks like it extends considerably behind the parking lot of the library, which would.
Yeah, I mean, there's more in our packet, which has.
This whole thing may be, this whole trail thing, this whole squiggly thing, the S-shaped trail may be on town
Right.
property. As I look at this drawing, if you look at this portion,
Yeah.
I'm looking at those property lines. I don't see a property line against the parking lot on this map.
So from what I
So we have to
got
look at that
from
carefully.
the society is that they're looking for approval from the town council just to sit there so they can go and use the town property to build these stairs. After this, we approve it, they will come back and they will give us the drawings.
Yeah.
We need to approve the drawings.
Well, we don't, whatever. Yeah.
They need to, so they can put the stairs, so that the plans are coming. But we need to approve this so we can do the plan. It's kind of like.
I don't think they're coming.
It's not, it's kind of a little bit backwards, right? Because we want to have the plans before we approve it, but they're just looking for approval to use the property.
Right. You're right.
Well, before they develop plans, because if they
Right,
didn't get
develop
approval,
plans.
then they wouldn't,
Right. They can't develop the plans until we approve the property.
So I think we can make a motion to authorize the use of town property under the stipulation that it's reviewed by a town attorney as to its legality and.
It's not just your initial steers that are on the property. I'm looking here, Mr. Esposito, we've taken the town GIS and superimposed
We have a new system that could show you overhead as well.
Well, they
okay.
See if they have a barn on there with the text.
So if you look at that, it's not just those initial stairs, which are probably 8 or 10 feet off of the parking lot. I think you go, I think this whole zigzag is town property, I have a feeling.
So it is like an easement.
So that's town, this is land trust property.
So you're telling me that, so this is land trust here?
Yes.
Yes.
And this is the whole town?
Yes.
What'd you need the easement for? If this is all our property, and this is land trust property, where's the easement?
Well, it probably goes to, there might be an easement on the, I don't know who owns that.
No, that's land trust also.
Give them an easement to use our property, right?
No, they had an easement from a private family.
I think they
Yes.
want permission to use town property to access the easement to access further property of
Correct.
theirs. And I just think that just one thing we'll look at is I think this trail they're proposing is not just a few stairs right off the parking lot looking at these images.
No, it's not.
I think it's,
According to what's in our packet, it doesn't
it's
show that
not,
either.
right, correct. Yes, we'll look at that.
So can we, with the stipulation that the town attorney needs to review,
You do have a significant hill to climb with stairs.
I think that's why there's a switchback built into the trail.
Yeah, I think
Right.
you need a field trip right there.
I mean, it's 60 feet high and about 200 feet.
long,
Yeah,
That's good, that's steep.
60 feet within a 200-foot vertical.
60 feet vertical, 200 feet horizontal.
Okay.
So it's like 3 to 1. How are you going to manage that?
Yeah, they're not proposing straight up.
It's a lot of steps.
Yeah, you don't want to have.
Put the ambulance there too, just in case.
Just.
Okay, so the motion was made.
I made a motion that we would allow the use, exploration and use of town property after, by stipulated that the town attorney can give final approval after looking at legality and what other word do you want me to use?
Liability.
Liability, yes, that's what it's liability. That sounds good, right?
Is there a second?
Second. All right. Hodgepodge that together.
All right, motion was made by Deputy Mayor McMillan, seconded by Councilor Abelson. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Okay. Citizen statements and petitions. Seeing none?
Motion for adjournment, please.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Madam Mayor?
Abstained? Okay.
I would just ask that, of course, don't forget you got a photo, so.
Right.
And sorry, Zoe. And then we'll also just ask everyone to stand fast for a non.
You're the
Okay.
only late, you're not going to.